Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Pivot and Prosper. I'm your host, Joe Nahay from LFG Business Group. We got a great episode here today, again, talking with another leader in the marketing industry here. And I have the great joy to introduce here Angela Hill from sunny San Diego, California. Angela's claim to fame is that she's a fractional chief marketing officer with over 30 years of experience. So what makes her unique? I'll tell you, she cares more about producing profitable revenue for her clients rather than employing a one-size-fits-all strategy, which I 100% back in not only my business, but in folks that I work with and speak with when they work with other companies. So, Angela, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me here today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Let's get right into the first question here. I know we talked a little bit before I pressed record, and as always, some of the best conversations are just before I press record, learning about you. But for all who are listening and watching, talk to me about your business. What has been the biggest surprise while operating as a business owner in the last 6 months? And how would you prepare for it next time it happens?
It's a great question. So I don't know that I would frame it as the biggest surprise. I would say in the past 6 months, one of the biggest challenges is navigating the impact of the political and economic climate and how it's impacting both my business and my clients' businesses. They have a challenge right now in that we don't know what's going to happen in the upcoming election. Regardless of your political leanings, the unpredictability of who the future candidate is going to be creates anxiety and discomfort for business because each party is going to go in a different direction in terms of their agenda and their policies, and that has a financial impact on the industry. So I'm not having a political conversation here. I'm saying just the uncertainty creates anxiety in sales and marketing. And when that happens, it's very hard to plan for or compensate until you know a direction. And this is a pattern that I've seen every 4 years when we have a voting year for a new president. And typically it's a pattern that happens much until we know for sure who's being elected. People tend to pause on spending money around sales and marketing. I think it's important for marketers out there to know that that's normal, even though it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And if you can do the things that you can do now to either build up your foundation or optimize your existing marketing and sales infrastructure, then when the election happens, you'll be in a better position to benefit or proactively protect your business based on what happens after the election. And typically in an election year by January, whatever is going to happen psychologically in terms of how people are spending their money and their budget will correct itself by January of next year. So we have a window right now between July and the end of this year to do some really good homework, do analysis, do some good strategy, build up your foundation or optimize what you have so that when the economy course corrects by the beginning of next year, you'll be in a good position to turn on your sales and marketing engine.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And what size companies, B2B, B2C, one or the other, B2G, are you seeing this impacted in the most? I mean, do you see it through startups all the way up to Fortune-sized companies or larger ones over certain revenue styles?
It's affecting everybody, but it affects everyone in different ways. So, for example, let's say you're a startup and you're either self-funded or you're angel, VC-backed, or maybe you're a early stage, mid-level private equity or family business. There's gonna be some discomfort on the part of your investors regarding your performance. And so now is the time that you need to reassure them that you have a good plan in place, that you are You have contingencies for what happens politically and economically. And you have the ability to pivot once the election happens. In a mid-sized business, you're a little more insulated, probably because you have more cash in the bank, because you have greater diversity in terms of your product or service line. But you're still going to see some impact that could come from maybe there's a freeze on hiring and you're not able to hire full-time resources that you need right now. So that's where a fractional resource can come in, whether it's fractional sales, marketing, could be HR, operations, finance. You're going to need something to bridge you between now and the end of the year.
Okay.
And a much larger enterprise organization, what you're going to see is perhaps certain projects are going to get paused or canceled, or completely eliminated or reprioritized. That also creates some stress and anxiety, especially in a team environment where you have a whole team of people dedicated to a specific project or initiative. And if that initiative gets wiped out, then you have a whole team of people that need a place to go. So that's also going to create instability in the job market.
Sure. Interesting. That's a good point of view into this. I didn't really think of that, to be honest with you. And I haven't, on my side, I work with a lot of startups and smaller businesses, a few in the realm of how people define medium-sized business, right? I feel like everyone defines medium-sized business a little bit differently, but call it up to maybe business I work with up to 100 million in top line revenue or so. And I think everything you said right there too. I think for those few, maybe I need to check in and see, hey, how is your marketing spend? Has there been any pushback? What can we do to restructure? Anything along those lines, or just to kind of understand their needs. If there's anything I'm missing to push off with that. But interesting point there. I'll have to take that and think about it a little bit more. Kind of pivoting from there to go into tech, right? Technology has obviously rapidly changed the world of marketing, how people connect, how people talk. Obviously, COVID too, people together, away, apart, Zoom, this, that, the whole nine yards. How do you think technology is reshaping the way that we understand and reach our audiences today compared to 5 years ago?
It's radically different. So I remember a time where you didn't have an office with a physical address that someone can meet you. You didn't have a real business. And now, if you make someone meet you in person, it has to be for a really good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the COVID pandemic, we're now living in a world where most people are doing their business online or virtually. Now that's for the operational side, but it's also impacting sales and marketing, because as a result, prospective clients are doing their due diligence online, not in person, not on the phone. They're researching a company or a service provider online in multiple ways before they even contact you. That makes it a lot harder for sales and marketing people to be effective in their role when they don't necessarily know where a prospect is researching them. So it creates a lot more work, but it also is an opportunity to ensure that your messaging and your positioning is aligned at every possible touch point.
I agree. And I think that translation from, what is the traditional methods, right? So you meet someone at let's talk even further back than 5 years ago. Let's talk 50 years ago, right? There's a handshake, there's an introduction, right? There's the hook, right, in the conversation, if you will. The follow-up, let's connect here, let's meet here for coffee, let's continue the conversation, etc. And that entire emotional sequence, if you will, now being put into my background, my business, a digital funnel. How can you put that entire emotion of a handshake, a smile, a firm handshake, making them laugh back and forth? Yeah, they get it. I like this person into a digital funnel, and of course that's where videos and this and that all come into play. But you're right. It's been challenging. It's been time saving too. I mean, for look at us right here talking, right? We could go into a studio. We could simply from the comfort of our home, just hop on a quick call, have a great educational conversation and move forward. Right. So hey, I think you're spot on with that too. It's unique how that that awareness and that first step has drastically changed. And geez, all the tools that have come out. Everyone talks about AI, right? But software and components to just reconnect with people and make it seem as authentic as possible.
Yeah, the other thing to think about, and this is challenging for a lot of people to understand, is as a result, instead of 5 to 8 touch points, now you need 13 to 15 touch points to move someone through a sales cycle. And a lot of those are going to be virtual. And if you don't have the infrastructure set up, then whatever tools you're using, even if it's picking up the phone or sending out an email, you are going to have to send a lot more of those and make a lot more of those calls just to get someone to go into your sales pipeline. Not even unless they're a qualified prospect. Just to get them to be a qualified prospect, you have to have so many more touch points.
Agreed. And this is I am an avid speaker for that topic right there, and the power of workflow automations and tools now that can do all the old school manual work at just a high rate and save you tons of time so that folks can be working more on the business as opposed to in the business. Imagine taking a full day of follow-up emails. Hi, did you see that? I mean, all that can be automated now, which is great. But yeah, keeping a strong pipeline and connecting with those folks in digital world where everyone's on the go, right? They're looking at their phone. If you're not looking at your phone, it's, well, I don't know. Very few do that, right? It's like everyone's attached. So to keeping that connection alive through sources of text messaging or emails, whatever it may be, is more powerful now than ever.
And you have to find them where they are because
Yes.
everybody's living in a different place. Not everyone is on LinkedIn. Not everyone is sending and receiving text messages. Not everybody's opening and reading their email.
I agree. With lead generation tools out there that promise so many leads and this conversion rate. I mean, sure, I could see in areas that, if you're at a certain niche individual, if you're targeting a group on LinkedIn that is active and posts, then yes, DMing in LinkedIn may be a good form of lead generation for that. If you're just reaching 10,000 people on LinkedIn and maybe 5,000 haven't logged in the last 5 years, well, you're not going to get an answer. Know your audience. Where are they?
It's the equivalent of direct mail. When we used to get tons and tons of direct mail, and you'd have a gatekeeper that would just go through it all and recycle 2/3 of it.
Yep.
I feel like that's what LinkedIn and mail and email marketing is becoming, unless you have something compelling that you're using in your outreach.
Use the right word, compelling. And I again, too, with this, you can go on YouTube and find thousands of videos talking about use this subject line, try this, try this, try this. And guess what? That works. That may work for a short period of time until 100,000 people use the same subject line that worked then. And now people catch on. Now you got to think of something new and creative. Or it's almost like you got to think outside the box and then think outside the box that's outside the box. Like go 2 steps ahead in essence, right? As authentic as can be, as natural as can be, and don't let AI write it. I mean, you write it as if it needs to read as if it's writing someone actually typed it out. Not if it reads like a robot, it will not convert without question.
Well, and I think that's a big debate that everyone's having within sales and marketing right now is this conversation regarding quantity or quality. I'm a proponent for quality. I would rather send out 5 emails to the right person and have each one of those turn into a prospective client and ultimately a client, then send out 5,000 emails, have my client be marked as a spammer. And then that degrades the brand reputation. Because if I'm offering a quality product or service, why am I not having a quality conversation?
Right. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. It's a numbers game, but it's a strategic numbers game. Do you want to put more time into sending less emails? But at the end of the day, whether it's 100,000 emails or if it's 100 emails, it could be the same number of conversions at the end. So what aligns best for the company?
But it's also about the long-term quality. So,
Yes.
for example, like this is a conversation I have with my colleagues where, let's say you're doing a social advertising campaign, and you spend $1 to acquire a customer, and you acquire 10 of them on Facebook, and you spend $2 to acquire a customer, and you acquire 5 of them on LinkedIn. If you're only looking at the quantity play, and you say, I'm going to spend more of my ad dollars on Facebook because I'm getting more customers. But if you look at the long-term value of the customer, and you say, let's say I have a recurring revenue model, like software subscription. If I only keep that client for 1 month on Facebook, but I keep them for 2 years on LinkedIn, now what is the financial value? What's the lifetime value of that customer? It'd be worth it to spend $2 to acquire that customer that I keep for 2 years, as opposed to spend $1 for a customer I keep for 1 month. So I think it's taking that next step of thinking regarding not only how much am I spending and how is my ad budget performing, but also what is the value of this customer that I'm acquiring from a profitable revenue perspective, short-term and long-term.
100% agreed. 100% agreed. That's one key attribute in the KPIs of as businesses grow, especially subscription model is one of their offers. What is your monthly reoccurring revenue, right? What is that person in the funnel continuing to move forward? If that's a nonstop fight to just bring in people each month and then they don't see, they pay and then they leave, you are fighting. That's a hard uphill battle, right? And it's a big numbers game. But if you map out, hey, I'm able to get people to retain for this long by this method, this long for this method, this long for this method, in-person sales for here, digital for here, meta ads for this, SEO for that, whatever it may be. All right, what am I aligning with each component in the strategy? So I have people coming in for subscription plays long-term. They're coming in for one-time purchase here for one piece of my offer here. Like, how are those all? That takes time and strategy. It does. It's not done overnight, but it also helps when you have a experienced marketer on your team.
Yeah, well, and it's that, like you said, it's the customer journey. So not just what do I do to get the customer, but what happens after they become a customer.
Mm-hmm.
So that also blurs the lines between marketing and sales and operations, because you have a team that's delivering, but it's still marketing and sales responsibility to ensure what they promised is what's being delivered, and that client satisfaction continues so that we have retention, because it's a lot less expensive to keep a customer than to get in.
Hey, that is a key one. And I 100% agree. My mentor has mentioned that to me a number of times. It is far more expensive to get a new customer than it is to retain an existing one that you originally showed the value to. And all you have to do is, and many times it's not all you have to do, but another phrase that my mentor told me was, customer service is not a department. It's the whole company. And if you deliver that quality service across the board, you will have a floor of raving fans, as long as the quality of the product too is good too. You can have the best customer service, but the product service needs to be good. They'll keep coming back. It's simple mindset in that status.
And they'll advocate for you. They'll become your evangelist, and they can partner with you to help you grow your organization.
Then it becomes easier as the growth. The growth is less of a struggle at that point. And wow, I've got far more people happy with the thing I have involved here than I had intended. And when you dial in a good quality product service with a good team and have good customer service behind it, it's amazing what can be a result of that. Now, with what I love talking about on this podcast too is the educational aspect and what young entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, businesses, etc., can pick up and learn to grow their business. Avid, I say reader. I listen to books. I'm an Audible guy. But are there any? Let me ask you this: are there any specific books or other resources that have inspired your entrepreneurial growth? And if so, what about those books inspired you? What are the name of those books? What can we share with others that they should read?
I love books. Got a lot of books by Cherry.
Yeah.
I'm an avid reader. For me, I really enjoy learning. At a certain point, when you get through business books, a lot of the information tends to repeat itself. But there's a couple good ones that I've really enjoyed over the years. Anything by Malcolm Gladwell, I love. Tipping Point. I'm a big fan of Blue Ocean. Books I've read recently that I really like. I really like the Priority Sale, and I like Pitch Anything. And I think it's important as marketers to read books not just about marketing, but also about sales, because marketing and sales are like peanut butter and jelly.
Mm-hmm.
You can have them apart, but together it's so much better. So it's really important for marketers to understand the mindset of that salesperson that's their partner in the organization.
Completely agreed. And you brought up earlier too, you are a unique breed that's got all these different, the chief strategy officer, chief marketing officer, et cetera, and I find that I really resonate with that. I mean, my degree out of school was mechanical engineer. I'm an analytical guy through and through. I like diving into the data, understanding where the data comes through, how to optimize it, et cetera, all of the above. But I happen to be one of the only non-introverted engineers I ever met. So that turned into working with sales folks. And if you combine an engineer who likes data with the energy and salesiness without snake oil, right, of salespeople, what's a great in between? Marketing, which I find amazing. I think having that skill set together, it sounds like you have the same one as well too, of looking at both ends, right? Let's look at the product. So let's look at how the product's sold, listen to the customers, and well, you can create great marketing with that, which is fantastic. And I'm going to link those books below in the description too. And now I'm going to add to my arsenal here as well too, because I love listening to more books that can provide great education and the fundamentals of and psychology of marketing to help us grow. So thank you for sharing those predictions for the future in marketing. This is a cool one here I like talking about. What would you say? What do you think is the next big thing coming in the world of marketing and how we talk to our audience? And how do you and your business plan to stay ahead of the curve?
So obviously, artificial intelligence is a big thing that's coming up. But for me, I think of artificial intelligence and any of that AI software as yet another tool. I don't see it as a replacement for anything that we're doing. I see it as an add-on. It's going to be important that marketers and salespeople continue to think about the fundamentals. The company I'm representing, in terms of what are the products and services, what's their unique selling proposition, customers and prospects, who's my target audience, how do they process information, what's important to them, what pain points do they have, what problems do I solve, and my competition, how do I differentiate effectively so that I make it easier for prospective customers to resonate with my message and my positioning and to be attracted to my brand. Everything else, whether it's traditional branding, great design, digital marketing, website, AI, you have it. I see it as just tools within my toolbox that'll help me solve the problem. So I think it's important for marketers to understand that AI is only as good as what you put in. So crap in, crap out. You still have to do the research. You still have to do the thinking work in order to really understand the problem you're trying to solve. And then if you want to use AI with prompt engineering, you have to have the right level of information and detail that you put in order to get a quality.
Hey, you're preaching here. I agree with all of that. You're right. Crap in, crap out. How many times this really gets me here. For people who pitch on marketing, they go, just use ChatGPT, ask it this question with no context. You expect it to give a quality output with zero context or understanding of what your brand voice is or what you're trying to achieve or anything. Of course, it's not going to sound right. I use a number of AI tools, but again, it's a tool to help the mechanic do his job with the car faster and maybe more efficient and optimized, but it doesn't replace the mechanic. It helps the mechanic, which is the ultimate goal, right? So, hey, especially with copy, that's the number one thing. Copywriters cannot be replaced entirely, but to create some out-of-the-box thinking, some ideas, all the above, some structural components to kind of work from, a framework potentially. Yeah, it saves time. It's great if you give a good input.
I like to think of AI as a brainstorming partner.
Yeah, that's a good way to word it.
It's not a replacement, but it could be a good way to jumpstart your thinking if you're stuck.
Yes, which, geez, happens more often than I do that all the time too. Even if it's I have a entire blog that was written up, and I want to put that into a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to be at a speaking event. I just want some talking points on these 20 sections here. Guess what? AI could do a fantastic job of to give you an idea of what to pivot off of, for example, whatever it may be, or even just heck, one of my favorites is recording a virtual call and then having summarized notes of what we spoke about or action items. I don't have to typing all this up or putting it in my ClickUp for a task assignment to my virtual assistant or whatever it may be. If I can have that on autopilot done by AI, it's pretty good. It saves me some time.
Yeah, I like signing up for webinars and then having AI watch the webinar for me, pull out the key points with date timestamps.
Yep.
And then if something in there and the synopsis is interesting, I jump to the section of the video and actually watch and digest that personally. And I'm not wasting an hour watching a webinar for 5 minutes of the gem that I wanted to pull out of it.
That's right. That's right. The key values there. I agree. Kind of wrapping things up here in the last few minutes. I could probably talk for another 40 or listen to you for another 45 because I'm really enjoying the back and forth, and we're definitely on the same page, same paragraph with next steps in marketing and strategy. Okay, question here. So it's one of my favorite ones. You're given the opportunity to mentor a young entrepreneur. Maybe it's you years ago, or maybe it's someone else, whatever it may be. And you could give them a piece of advice for them in their journey as growing as a business owner. What single piece of wisdom would you impart and why?
So my favorite is the Hedgehog Exercise.
Ooh,
so basically you make a list of what are all the things that you're good at doing. And then you make a list of what are all the things that you're passionate about. And then you make a list of all the things that you know how to do that make money. And, it's like a Venn diagram, so it's overlapping circles. And then once in the middle, that's where you should focus your time and energy. What are you good at doing? What are you passionate about? And what you know how to do that makes money? Because if you can start there, you can be 10 times more effective in moving forward in your skill sets and in your career.
That is, I don't know if that's trademarked by you, but I may have to use that in the future, and I'll definitely make a reel out of that one. That is a great analogy. I think I'm going to do that exercise myself too, just to kind of put together and see where my growth is at as a whole too. But fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that. You said the
It's
hedgehog
not
exercise?
me. It's from Good to Great, the book.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I think it's from one of those books. I didn't invent it, but it's fascinating because I first saw it there. I've seen it in a couple other books. There's another version that's like 4 circles that overlap, and I think that's has a different name and it's Japanese. This is a concept that people have used throughout time to problem solve. And so I've worked with a lot of startups, I've worked with a lot of students, and I've mentored them to kind of help them figure out where to go in their career or where to take their startup in terms of differentiation. And I find that using a simple exercise like 3 overlapping circles or 4 overlapping circles is a great way to really help your brain process all of that information and then narrow it down and refine it to what makes you different and great and unique.
Excellent. Excellent. I that is great wisdom to share there, and an exercise I think would be helpful for all, especially for folks who are, again, even though ready to start a business, wanting to start a business, and need to focus on, well, what is it in that business I want to do, and who do I need to hire that fills the other gaps that I'm either not educated in or don't want to do or just despise or all of the above. So that way we have a complementary team of success. Right? That's what makes a good team, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, and one of the hardest lessons I learned having my own agency is the more I do work in the different roles within my agency, the less it is a business, right? So I had to learn the hard way that my business wasn't a business if it required so much of me in it. And that's hard for your ego, right? It hurts to say, well, you don't really have a business if you are doing all of these different things within your business. So finding ways to create processes and systems, bringing resources to take things off your plate as a business owner, it's difficult to let go, but it's so important for the success of your business and for, as a business owner, for your health and for your stress and for your work-life balance and for your ability to be a good person within your organization, but also the kind of person you want to be to your friends and your family.
Yeah.
And so extricating yourself from your business is one of the most valuable undertakings that you can take as a business owner. Like you said, I had a business chair and she always said, work on your business, not in your business. As you said that earlier in this podcast, and easy to say, but hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the other phrase? Working above the weeds, not in the weeds. You're right.
Because when you're in it, you can't see clearly. And then how do you make good decisions and how do you grow if you don't have the visibility you need and the objectivity that you need to see clearly what's going on and how to pivot or make changes or adapt? And that's where bringing in outside resources can be valuable. And they don't have to be permanent and long-term and forever and for the rest of your life. Right. They can be unstuck. Help me get unstuck. Help me bring in the systems, processes, automation, software, people, infrastructure to have my engine working. Let my engine work for a while. And then when I get stuck, then bring in someone else over here to get unstuck. And that's okay. Bringing in someone to help you get unstuck doesn't mean you're a failure.
I couldn't agree. The journey, the journey is extremely difficult when done alone. The value of a mentor or a consultant or both, right, throughout all of your steps and process, someone who's been down that pathway before, are extremely valuable and I think underutilized, because it's easy for someone to say, heck, I even did this too. I did great in my corporate life. Now let me do it in my own business here. Man, that was not easy. That was, woo, boy, the struggles, a hurdle. I fell 100 times. Not easy. But you're right. Having the right folks, the right, whether it be marketing, sales, you can name it, right? All the above areas to help guide you and mentor you. Heck, you can get there a lot faster with a lot less stress.
Yeah. So I guess my one major takeaway is no matter where you are in your career, no matter what your role is, it's okay to ask for help to get unstuck because we all get stuck. Nobody knows everybody. Nobody knows everything. Nobody's good at everything. And we never will be. The more technology changes, the harder it is to be a master of everything.
Excellent words there. Couldn't agree more. And I can't wait for this to go live, to share these words of wisdom with everyone to watch and listen to. Angela, I can't thank you enough for your time speaking with me here today. Your experience, the energy, the education, all of the above. And I can't wait to continue to share that and all the aspects about you for people to learn more about you. I'm going to put the link to your LinkedIn below for people to connect with you on there as well, and to your website so people can learn more about you too. But thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me here today. I thoroughly enjoy it and really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right. Take care.